Across the Middle East, many Arab governments treat Iran as the enemy and Israel as a partner. It's a surprising shift, but one that makes sense when you see the threats they worry about every day. Let's check the shocking reasons. Arab rulers make policy through the lens of regime survival. Israel has limited levers to destabilize Arab regimes from within. Iran projects influence through armed non-state partners embedded in Arab societies, creating constant internal pressure points that can outlast a news cycle and outmaneuver conventional militaries. Intelligence works on Iran's axis of resistance document how this model creates chronic leverage over Arab states' domestic arenas and foreign policy. Iran is next door to the Arabian Peninsula and sits astride the Strait of Hormuz, the world's most critical oil choke point. Roughly 1/5 of global petroleum liquids transits this narrow waterway. That means any Iranian crisis immediately threatens Arab economies that depend on oil exports and price stability. This is not theoretical. The data put average 2022 and 2023 flows through Hormuz at about 21 million barrels per day, which means 25% of world consumption. When your lifeline passes within sight of Iranian shores, deterrence of Iran becomes a first-order priority. The Red Sea route tells a similar story. Houthi attacks on shipping have repeatedly forced costly rerouting around the Cape of Good Hope, raising freight costs and pressuring Arab exporters and importers, especially Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan. The IMF estimated that in early 2024, Suez Canal trade fell about 50% year over year due to Red Sea attacks. Arab states were painfully suffered from this issue. If we ask Gulf security officials what keeps them up at night, they'll mention September 2019, when the precision drone and cruise missile strikes on Saudi Arabia's Abqaiq and Quraysh facilities happened. Those attacks temporarily knocked out around 5% of global oil supply, spiked prices, and showcased a style of asymmetric warfare that air defenses struggle to stop. Western and Saudi officials blamed Iran, while Tehran denied responsibility. Subsequent UN reporting noted Iranian origin for components used in related attacks. Whatever one's reading of culpability, the lesson Arab capitals took was simple. Their energy infrastructure is exposed to Iran-linked capabilities in a way Israel rarely exploits against them. Prudence says deter, degrade, and contain that threat. Iran's partners aren't just border irritants, they are inside the Arab political arena. In Lebanon, Hezbollah is both a militia and a political actor. In Iraq, Iran-aligned formations have been integrated into state structures even as autonomous power centers persist. In Yemen, the Houthis control territory and can fire across borders or at ships. In Syria, Iranian-backed forces help preserve the Assad government, but today the situation is different. This embedded influence lets Tehran shape Arab security agendas from within, creating a policing and governance problem, not just a foreign policy one. Governments respond by prioritizing counter-Iran policies, diplomatic, covert, economic, and sometimes kinetic, over confrontations with Israel that don't address immediate vulnerabilities at home. Actually, Iran's investment in missiles and unmanned aerial vehicles has changed the cost-benefit math. Conventional Arab militaries are optimized for state-to-state conflict and deterrence. Iran's model emphasizes precision, conventional strike, and denial via proxies. The result: oil processing hubs, desalination plants, airports, radars, and naval assets are at risk across the Gulf and Red Sea areas. Arab planners therefore channel budgets and diplomacy toward limiting Iranian reach rather than toward interstate war with Israel. Most Gulf monarchies are hydrocarbon rentier systems. Legitimacy is traded for public employment, subsidies, and mega projects. Anything that endangers export volumes and price stability threatens the social contract. An Iran-related shock hits budget revenues immediately. That's why we've seen intensive Arab investment in Red Sea and Gulf maritime security, and why Iran-linked disruptions loom larger than the Palestinian file in cabinet rooms. Another reason many Arab states don't target Israel directly: the US security umbrella and the interlocking partnerships that run through Washington. Escalating with Israel risks confrontation with the United States and jeopardizes access to advanced defense tech, intelligence, and diplomatic cover, none of which Arab governments are eager to lose. Moreover, since 2020, the Abraham Accords shifted several Arab states from covert ties to open normalization with Israel, unlocking trade, tech, tourism, and layered defense cooperation. For pragmatic regimes trying to diversify economies beyond oil, Israel is increasingly a partner of convenience while Iran remains a security problem to manage. Arab states are not monolithic, strategies evolve. In March 2023, Saudi Arabia and Iran agreed a China-brokered talks to restore diplomatic relations and reopen embassies with language on non-interference. The detente reduced immediate temperature and enabled symbolic steps, but detente is not alliance. The structural drivers that push Arab states to contain Iranian influence haven't disappeared, so managing Iran coexists with deterring Iran. While sectarian identity is often overplayed, it still matters politically. Iran's post-1979 ideology champions transnational revolutionary solidarity and has historically supported movements aligned with Tehran's worldview. In Sunni-majority Arab states, that reads as ideological encroachment, especially when the vehicles are militias or clerical networks. Governments instrumentalize sectarian narratives to frame Iran as a meddler and to justify domestic countermeasures. Policies that target Iranian networks can be sold to domestic audiences as protecting national identity and sovereignty, while direct confrontation with Israel is harder to connect to day-to-day security needs. Let's consider the map through an oil and shipping lens. Hormuz is Iran's backyard. Closure or harassment risks 25% of global petroleum flows and immediate fiscal pain in Gulf capitals. Bab el-Mandeb and Suez are seen for healthy actions which can throttle East-West trade. Because Iran either sits on or influences both ends of this corridor, Arab governments weight counter-Iran measures more heavily than grandstanding against Israel, which doesn't control choke points critical to Arab economic survival. Arab publics remain overwhelmingly sympathetic to Palestinians, often far more than their governments appear to be. But the state behaves like a risk manager. They will condemn Israeli actions, support humanitarian aid, and push for ceasefires, yet stop short of kinetic confrontation that could implode budgets or invite retaliation. Conversely, when Iran-linked actors strike ships, oil plants, or airports, Arab regimes see a direct, measurable cost and a clear chain of command to deter. That is why the center of gravity of Arab hard policy so often points toward constraining Iran. Yes, Arab countries target Iran more than Israel, not because Israel isn't a problem, but because Iran is the more immediate, internalized, and economically existential problem for regimes. Iran's proximity to critical waterways, its partners embedded in Arab societies, and its maturing missile arsenal create daily vulnerabilities that Israel typically does not. We can add the incentives of US security ties and post-2020 normalization benefits with Israel, and we get a policy mix that manages Israel diplomatically while containing Iran coercively. That's the key to decoding Arab state behavior. Focuses on threats that can topple a ruler tomorrow, always outweigh grievances that don't. In today's Middle East, Iran, through geography, proxies, and precision strike, poses that kind of tomorrow morning risk.